Hi, thanks for joining me today. I'm Jen Goldman, offering you the gold standard in nonprofit management. I like helping nonprofit leaders learn how to implement more business practices into their organizations for greater sustainability and growth. Today, I want to bring to you one topic that overlaps two things: time management and fundraising. I've noticed that a lot of nonprofit leaders are putting together events and activities and fundraisers, and they're spending a lot of hours for what I wouldn't consider significant income. So I want you to think, put your math nerd cap on like I do every day, and start thinking about the fundraising that you're doing. How effective is it? How much of your time or your volunteers' time are you spending to bring in how many dollars? So we're going to think of this as more of a return on investment. What is your time worth? How much time are you spending? So, for example, I have seen organizational leaders who, and you have to track your time in order to know this, but they will spend anywhere 30, 50, 100 hours on a grant application that might bring them, I'm going to say maybe $5,000. To me, that's not time well spent. I want to think in fundraising terms with the mindset of significance. So I want you to feel the same way. What is going to be the biggest result you can get with the littlest amount of your time? And having that shift in your mindset to significance will help you. Is it worth 100 hours to make $100,000? You betcha. Is it worth 100 hours to make $5,000? It really depends on how you want to spend your time. That isn't significant to me. I wouldn't want to spend my time that way. I don't have a good formula for how much money you should make per hour of your time. You're really going to have to figure that out based on your annual budget and the activities that you have, but go for the biggest bang that you can. I would say if you're going to spend 50 to 100 hours on a grant application, and typically you will, depending on the level of difficulty of that funding, funder, excuse me. But I would say if you're going to spend that amount of time, look for grants that are significant. Maybe put a minimum on it. We're willing to spend this amount of time if it's $25,000 or more, or we're willing to spend so many volunteer hours for so much money. Then you look at your special events. How many hours of staff time and volunteer time are spent coordinating and carrying out special events, and for how much money? If your special event is a fundraiser, if it's not a fundraiser and it's just an event for your community, that's not something that we're going to measure with ROI this way. But if it's a fundraiser and that is your primary reason for hosting this event, what is the maximum income you can bring in, and what is the amount of hours that you expect to spend, both yours and your board and your volunteers? And is it worth it? So I know for me, for example, when I ran a nonprofit community, a nonprofit organization, I counted one year our huge fundraiser, our one big black tie event that was our annual fundraiser. I wound up spending in a 40-hour work week, which is 2,080 hours a year. I spent 25% of those hours. So what does that equal? About 500 hours over the course of a year out of 2,000 hours on that one event. And we brought in anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000 a year. And I really felt that that was not a significant use of my time. I would much rather have spent 100 hours on a $25,000 grant application and moved on and had money for then programs instead of really just reimbursing me my salary for how much time I had spent on that event. So think in those terms: protect your time, protect your resources, your volunteer hours. You may have 100 or 1,000 volunteers, but they're only willing to give you so many hours. Make sure you're spending them the best way possible. And also yourself and your other staff members' time. What is the best use of that time? And I know that's an expression that some people use sometimes and they really don't want to do something. That is not the best use of my time. But is this the best use of your time? And talk to your board members, talk to your staff, your volunteers, and let's brainstorm some ideas. How can we either enhance this so that we spend fewer hours doing it, or so that it nets us more money? Or what could we do instead that would be a better use of our time and net us better results? So start thinking, like I said, in those nerdy math terms, and try to figure out what the best use of your time will be as far as fundraising goes. I hope that's helpful. If you have scenarios, questions, examples, things you want to bounce off me, please throw something in the comments or go to the bio section and find my contact information. I'd love to help you out. Thanks so much. I'll see you again soon.